lot of the companies I work with come to me and say, we really want to use AI to generate some value, but we want to do that responsibly. How do we do that? We're not sure. I think the first thing that I do is really try and understand what is it they're trying to achieve through the value they want to generate. How do they want to use AI? And as part of that, helping them understand what does it mean for them to be responsible. I think that initial conversation can then help put in place a set of processes. A lot of being responsible is about creating the processes to allow you to do things in a simple way. So really helping them have a process around picking the right ideas for AI, really thinking about what it does it mean to assess value and risk at the same time, so that you're not having to do those assessments later on when things can be more troublesome or problematic. And having done that, also, what do you do next? How do you put in place the policies and the controls that you need to be able to test whether you are doing things responsibly? So a large part of the job is helping companies simplify what can feel like a really complicated question by putting in place the right methodology. And along the way, making sure that everybody in the organization really understands what the goal is here. Yes, to generate value, to try and really use AI to do some amazing things, but to do so responsibly. That, again, for employees and leadership and other types of staff members has to be made simple and broken down. So part of the work that we do, and I've done with many organizations, is help them really get educated about being responsible by design. I think that's the key thing here. The best approach to really getting value out of AI is to make sure that that value is underpinned by responsible by design approaches. Over the last couple of years, there's been an explosion in the amount of ideas around how to use AI, especially Gen AI. No shortage of amazing ideas, but often those ideas don't become something that can scale and be used across the whole organization or taken to market, whether it's a consumer-facing product or whether it's a service for another client, for example. And one of the key reasons is that organizations want to move quickly, but when the question around being responsible or doing so safely comes up, they've left that question around how do we make sure we're complying in the right way, we've done the risk assessments early on, we've really thought about what this might mean as an impact on the consumer or the individual. That comes way too late, and that slows everything down. So when an organization comes to me and says, look, actually here's the challenge. There's a tension between moving fast and scaling AI and generating the value we want or the amazing innovation that we want to deliver, and trying to do that safely. Those things feel like they're trade-offs. You know, which one do we trade away? Do we trade away safety or do we trade away speed? They don't want to trade away speed because things are so competitive. They equally don't want to trade away safety. The work that I do and the response that I have is, actually, let's start with the culture that you're trying to set. You know, the culture that you put in place in the organization around moving safe or moving fast or trying to do both will really shape the whole approach for everyone else. And if you try and set a culture that is about doing both things, moving safe and fast, not trading those away against each other, that all of a sudden liberates other people in the organization to really tackle that problem about reconciling these two competing demands. And they are reconcilable. So many organizations I've worked with, we've helped them really take that integrated risk and value approach around how do you pick the right ideas, how do you really understand how you'll manage the risk that those ideas might generate, and move that into production by building in the processes, the tools and the technologies that allow you to manage that risk and really understand when it's going to be material and real, when is it not. And the key thing here, in all of the experience that I've had with organizations, is when companies do that, what they actually find is that the governance structures they put in place help them speed up. Like a really important sort of lesson for me has been that companies in financial services, whether that's banks or insurance providers, you know, companies that are heavily regulated, for example, you'd think would be slower in terms of what they're doing to innovate. Actually, it's the opposite. Because they have that governance structure in place, they can act with certainty, they can act with more confidence, they know how to make good decisions. Whereas companies that are starting maybe with less governance structures in place, for them, every conversation becomes a debate. And I think actually they're recognizing that this can't be the way that they progress. So they want to take some of the lessons from financial services or healthcare, for example, around what does it mean to operationalize governance to help you move faster and bring that into their businesses. You don't have to be heavily regulated, or you don't have to have other requirements around what you do to take the lessons from other industries to help you move faster.